had some useful sex ed when I went to school. Very basic, but useful. But God bless my Aunt Helen, but she did not expect to raise a kid, let alone have a sex talk. And I have to say that I have a lot of sympathy for her now that I'm older, but she was truly unequipped for this task because one day when I was 15, she comes up to me and she's like, I've been meaning to tell you, we need to go to Hershey Park and we will do that tomorrow. And I'm like, what? Because I fucking love amusement parks. So I'm jazzed. I'm up at 6 a.m. the next morning. We get in the car. And she says to me, now, I don't exactly know how to do this, but I was talking to Sherry at the office and she did this with her kids. And I honestly couldn't think of a better plan. So it's about 2 hours to Hershey Park, and I have some important things to talk to you about. Now, we're going to talk about them on the way to the park and on the way back, but we are not going to discuss them at the park. Okay? And before I can say anything, she slips in this tape to the tape player, and on comes Dr. Albert Cunningham, who is going to talk us through how to talk to your teen about sex. Yes, yeah, this is a tape for parents about how to talk to their teens about sex. My aunt doesn't say anything, but Dr. Albert Cunningham, he has an awful lot to say. And I try to protect my brain from all of his useful tips, but I can't, of course. So I spend a miserable day at the park trying to forget everything I've just heard. And finally, I'm in line at Dippin' Dots, ice cream of the future. I see the most beautiful woman I've seen in my entire life. She's gorgeous. Gorgeous. She has long hair and she's wearing this one piece that connects right here. So it looks like a two-piece, but it's a one-piece. And I'm transfixed. Helen's sitting on a bench a ways off and can't see me exactly, and I'm just staring at this girl, and I start to fantasize about doing gymnastics with her, which at this point I had not done gymnastics for years, but I'm like, wow. What if we snuck into Gerstone Park after hours and we had the whole gym to ourselves? And she runs across the mat. She pins me down, kneels on top of me and snakes her body over mine and rides her hips in circles over mine. What if she makes me hard and I have like the biggest boner in the entire world, and she lays down on the mat of the gym and she let me What if I'm inside her and I'm giving her like the most pleasure of her entire life? And this guy behind me in line says, "Hey, that's my girlfriend. Are you staring at her?" And I'm like, "No." And he's like, "Well, it looks like you're staring." And I'm like, "I thought I recognized her from school." And he says, "Uh-uh. You don't recognize her. And if you keep staring at her, then I am going to pound your face into the ground, you little dyke." And this is my first encounter with this word. And it's pounding through my head. And I feel like a cartoon character who was knocked out by this anvil. So I run away and I hide behind a chocolate statue and I start heaving because I thought he was actually going to beat me up. And all of a sudden I am overcome with this sense of my ugliness and my repulsiveness, my cargo shorts and racing tank. All of my ugly, repulsive fantasies and all arousal turn to disgust. And I can't move. I'm terrified that this woman saw me wanting her, as if her eyes had thermal glasses and she could see my desire, and she would laugh at me and barf because I was so disgusting. So I stayed behind the statue freaking out, and they have to call my name over the speaker system because Aunt Helen can't find me. And I meet her at the front gate, and we get back into the car. And we listen to part 2 of the tape, which is mostly improvised scenarios of how the conversation might go. And I am trying my hardest not to die or weep or both. And we get home and my aunt says to me, "So, are we good?" And I say, "Yeah."